Okay, today gonna do this video on this Demco 250 amplifier. I was digging around in the basement and didn't even know I had this thing. It was tucked away and I saw it and I'm like, oh man, another Demco piece, cool, because I trying to get a collection of all the Demco, at least base equipment, base CB equipment that they made, and had forgot about this guy. Pretty simple, one driving three, grounded grid amplifier, starting on the left power switch, on and off, standby switch, high low power. It's got a tap on the power transformer. For the high voltage tap, it's got a high voltage tap and a low voltage tap, and that's what the high low goes to. And then the AM/SSB just puts a delay, a capacitor on the relay for the delay for SSB. And this one got a preamp in it. It's fair, just like most preamps that's built into amplifiers. And you got a meter, a little output meter. And of course it's got your standard tune and load for the pi output on the output. And also that drive there would be the tune for the driver tube. It's one in driving 3 again, so it doesn't affect the power for the drive, but it actually tunes. It's the same purpose as the tune for the final here. That could be, drive tune is tune cap is what it is. It's just a variable. And going back over here, we are unplugged. That's the driver tune cap there. And then the output tune cap, tank coil, and then the load cap over here. This choke right here is actually a safety choke. Not all amps have those, and I've even seen some big amplifiers that don't have that safety choke on them. And all it does is that there's a DC blocking capacitor, but that's on the underside of it. And that DC blocking capacitor, as you can imagine, it blocks the DC from coming out, on the output and going out to your RF. But as things happen, sometimes that DC blocking cap can short. And if it shorts, there's going to be nothing from stopping the high voltage from, coming through your coax and possibly killing you, especially on a big amp. So what better amps have is this choke right here. And what it is, it's RF doesn't affect it. RF will pass right by it, but DC will short to ground. So that choke is on the output side. Actually, it's across the load cap, and it goes to ground. So what happens is if the blocking cap shorts out, that'll catch the DC and short it out to ground, and blow the fuse and maybe the transformer, power supply, who knows. But it'll save you from getting yourself killed there. So it's just a safety device. And like I say, sometimes you'll see a big amp, a builder who won't put that in there. Maybe they don't know what they're doing, or just cost, trying to save a few pennies, and they're putting you at risk because you don't have a safety choke in there. And this one again is one, that first tube here next to the tune cap variable is the driver tube, and then those three there are the output tubes. Got a little fan, plug-in relay, transformer, and that's about it on the top. But I wanted to speak about driver tubes and final tubes and matching tubes. Like this one is 1 out of 3, and if you see the one driver tube does not match the 3 output or final tubes, and it doesn't need to be. Tubes only need to be matched when they're on the same circuit or the same drive or same output. Let's say you got a huge sweep tube linear with, let's say, 1 driving 2, driving 4, driving 10. In that case, the one the one pre-driver or whatever you call it, the one tube, it doesn't need to match anything else. And then the two tubes, well, I say one driver and two driver and four, the two tubes, this second pair, they need to be matched, but they don't need to match anything else. They're like a circuit on their own. And then the four tubes, they would need to be matched, but they don't need to match with anything else. And then the 10 tubes, or whatever they are, 8 tube, 10 tube, those need to be matched for the amp to work right, and one tube not being a hog or going into oscillation and all kind of other problems. So the set of tubes that are in the same circuit, like if you got 2 driving 8, the 2 would need to match, and then the 8 would need to match each other, but the 2 don't need to match the 8 at all, if you know what I mean. So hope you get that. As far as matching tubes, the same with this one again. One driving 3, the one driver tube is not really connected to the circuit for the 3 final tubes, so it does not need to match it. So anyway, we're gonna turn her over. I'm a heavy little guy. And over here on the inside, it's a lot going on, but when you have one driving 3 and a preamp in there, it's a basic grounded grid amp, but it looks pretty crowded in there. Oh, and I said that driver tune cap on the front, that little variable cap right there would be the driver load cap, and that's the driver tank coil right there for the pi circuit. So the drivers have a pi circuit, and the tune is on the front that says driver, and then that would be the load there internally, and not too much other. That's the power supply caps right there, your 2 bleeders, fuse in there, got another relay down here, got the big plug-in up front, and that's pretty much it. Pretty simple circuitry. Nothing special. Pure grounded grid on this amp. And last, we're gonna show you the back if we can get it around here. And you see 2 more variable caps, and those are for the input tuning. You tune your radio to the lowest SWR with those, and that's all they do. Tune your input. If you got a SWR meter, put it in between your radio and the amp. If your radio has an internal one, you can use it, but I use this external one here, and I like it because it's automatic computing SWR, no calibrating. So when I'm tuning stuff like this for the input tuner, I don't have to worry about calibrating the watt meter and going back and forth with that. So we're gonna fire it up right quick. Everything looks pretty safe to me, so turning it on, let it warm up for a few, and maybe I move stuff a little bit, but this guy does, I guess, what it's supposed to. Does about 125, 150 bird watts, and actually does 250 peak watts. So I guess I kind of like it when something isn't overrated. It's got 250 on it. And a lot of amps, they may say KW, and it does 300 watts. So at least this one says 250, and it does 250. Hey, look, what a miracle, right? So maybe it's warmed up enough, and try to key it down. Yeah, hello. We probably got it on, left it on peak. That's 200 watt scale of this MFJ meter is calibrated to a bird. So we did key in 100. Audio talking about 120. Whistling to about 150. I probably could get a couple more watts if I tweaked it, especially since I messed with that drive a little bit. But that's basically what it does, and that's on RMS. Into a dummy load too. I always go, into a dummy load on these, so no false watts. And then last, putting it on peak. Audio pins to 200, and let's go to 2000 right quick. Audio it's about 240. audio. And again, if I tweaked it up a little bit more, you know, after moving it and turning it and all that, I can probably get about 260 peak out of this thing. So, you know, not a bad little amp. You know, this one's not clean or, you know, not mint or nothing like that, but, you know, try to find a good Demco clean stuff, because whatever metal Demco used, it didn't well, it rusts very easily compared to other you know, metals. I guess they went cheap on whatever they used, and a lot of times you'll see surface rust like this on most Demco stuff. If you find a good clean, you know, Demco with no rust, buy it, because those, you know, are hard to find. So anyway, that's my thoughts and it on this little Demco 250 amp. Bye.